What is going on, guys? It is your boy TKD Winter D here, back again with another Road to Part 2, the Last of Us podcast, where we go over all things and anything Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2. And of course, you're back again, once again, with my luxurious host. We haven't done an episode in like 3 weeks, bro. We are slacking over here, bro. We are slacking. And of course, I'm with me here, the Starks, of course. Shout out to Starks.
Hey guys,
How you doing?
how's it going? I'm okay. It's starting to rain here actually, so the tone, is pathetic fallacy, a little bit, just a tiny bit.
I believe it's still 120 degrees here in Phoenix, so that's nothing new.
120? Oh my god!
It's probably not 120, but it's probably something like that. It's definitely over 100, probably less than 110, so it's probably around there, something like that. I don't know what that is in Celsius. I know you.
I'm converting it right now, so I'd say
I don't know what it is in
100.
Celsius.
Oh yeah, 37 degrees Celsius. That's not normal here in Ontario.
Yeah, I assume not. But we're back here, of course, and we are going to follow the trend I did last week. Of course, was the solo podcast. Make sure to go check out that one. It was just me on it, and I went over the daughter theory. We are going over a fan's theories. Her name is Rachel. I think her real name is Rachel.
Yeah, you got that right. Because in the last episode, you were referring to Ray as a male.
I was.
Yeah,
I was.
Which is fine.
Because I'm horrible.
We should get that often.
I should.
But yeah, it's Rachel. Ray Hibias is what she
is like her pseudonym. Right. Okay, gotcha. Well, she is back here again with another theory, and we finna break it down. You know what I'm saying? Because and then I know I have you have the document also in front of you, Stark. So I guess we'll run it down and everything. But I said screw it. Let's just get into it. Why not? Okay, so this is the Silk theory, right? And it's how the moth represents Ellie and what the Sephiroths really mean in part 2. And so this dives into some of the posters that we've gotten throughout the years for Last of Us Part 2 and the original Last of Us. It ties into some stuff with the Sephiroths. So
her tattoo, Ellie's tattoo is definitely
tattoo as well. And so it does implore people to read the Dar theory first before reading this to get a full scope of it. But the main points that we'll be hitting on this whole thing is how the theme of the moth represents Ellie and how it ties into the Dar theory, as well as why this theory believes that the Sephiroths are actually a group after and or tied to the concept of a cure, and how this is important to Ellie's character. And so they first bring up, there's a lot of moth stuff that are tied to Ellie, right? So like they have the example, and again, everyone has seen this on screen, so it's all good. There's the moth on Ellie's tattoo that was debuted in 2016, and then there's another moth on the poster. There's a lot of different moths on there. Then there's the Silk Moth as well. They are saying that the moths that are on the poster and stuff like that are actually a real moth in real life. It's called the Silk Moth. So, and I don't think it's a coincidence that they are like specifically pulling from this specific moth if it didn't mean something. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about Naughty Dog here. Like, I feel like they definitely, like, when they what I'm saying, like when they do something intentionally with some sort of marketing for the game or some sort of art for the game, they seem to do it for
some
a
meaning,
reason. Yeah, absolutely. But if you want to jump in to the moth part, if you'd like to do some reading, sir.
Yeah, sure.
We could
absolutely.
We could pass the baton or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, this is going to be the first page. I'm just at the bottom. So she states that before she gets into how this moth relates to Ellie, she wants to first explain the moth itself. Like we just stated, the moth on Ellie's poster is a silk moth. Moths are the largest moths in North America. The largest silk moth in North America is and pardon me for butchering this name, but Ceropia silk moth. Ceropia, yeah. Let's say
something like that.
Ceropia silk moth. I don't know. Ceropia, which is the one that Ray believes is on Ellie's poster. Um, uh, if not
That's
I'm s-
incredible. That's
let's
incredible.
just say the sea silk moth, okay?
I
So
like
if
that. I
not the
like that.
sea silk moth, then definitely a type of other silk moth or close to a cousin of the sea, particularly one from North America. She believes Naughty Dog picked this moth on purpose, which Kevin just stated, that it has to have some kind of symbolic meaning to all of its glory. So this is the second page. Now, why are silk moths important to this story? Well, because of their wait, anatomy.
Anatomy.
Sorry. Oh my god. My apologies.
Bro,
Silk
we
moths
good. We
feast
good. We good.
as caterpillars, but once they cocoon and they emerge, silk moths have no distinctive track or mouth. It is physically impossible for sea moths, because I'm not going to pronounce it anymore, sea moths to eat. Because of this, they live a relatively short lifespan. That sucks, by the way, not being able to eat because you're born with you know you don't have a mouth. That sucks.
Right.
The sea moth's only purpose in life, question mark, so reproduce in order to keep the species alive.
Now that is what's mad interesting because the daughter theory, which we went over, whatever, was going over the concept that like, you know, that Ellie's mom in the recordings with Marlene, especially Marlene as well, like talks about Ellie as like, you know, their most proud work and stuff like that, and this and the third, and like it became the question of, all right, like what if, you know, they were so adamant on having Ellie and protecting Ellie, not because of course she's the daughter of Anna and that she, you know, is offspring and that, you know, of her and that's her child and stuff like that, but what if it goes a step further as like Ellie's main role in being birthed and being brought into this world is to just be a cure. You know what I'm saying? Is to start is to start is to just reproduce, similar to what this moth does when it goes in the cocoon and then emerges, and it's like its only purpose at that point because it can't even eat. So I assume it doesn't even live that long.
No.
After it blossoms into a moth, which is quite interesting. But it goes on to say, so like, how does this tie into Ellie's role with the Dara theory? This probably is just gonna go over exactly what I just said, but we'll just break it down. So it says, let's do a quick.
Oh, you're gonna read it? Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it. So let's do a quick look back in the Dara theory. I mentioned how Ellie's immunity wasn't an accident and she was made immune on purpose because, quote, this is what Anna was after. I also pointed out the possibility of Ellie's offspring being immune. According to my theory, her mother gave birth to an immune offspring to keep the species alive. This is why the symbolism of the silk moth is so important to Ellie. The silk moth's purpose is to keep the species alive, and so is Ellie's. I believe this will have strong influence on the events and Ellie's actions in part 2. The question is, will she achieve her purpose in part 2? Bottom line, everything happens for a reason. And so of course they are using a couple of the recordings where there's one quote where it was save us, all of us, this is what we were after, what you were after. They asked me to kill the smuggler. And then it was, you know, life is worth living, find your purpose, fight it. Life is worth living, find your purpose, and fight for it. And so those were both quotes from Anna and Marlene and stuff like that. But then they ask just one more thing about symbolism and stuff like that before we move on to the next page, is that while they're on the subject of symbolism, it's also important to point out that symbolism on ferns, as they are also accompanied by the moths on Ellie's arm. Obviously that is talking about her tattoo where there's a bunch of like leaves and ferns and stuff like that, and the moths are like sitting on those ferns and those leaves. According to some cultures, the fern represents a new life and new beginnings, and according to others, it symbolizes family and hope for the future generations. Notice how that also relates, of course, to the moths and to Ellie's life and stuff like that. Like there's clearly suggesting that they are pointing to these symbolic things of these objects around Ellie. You know what I'm saying? And I believe there's even moths. Oh my gosh. Where it's Joel's poster. No, is it Joel's poster? There was another poster for part 2 that came out. Do you remember it? Where it's like kind of like a black and white poster, and there's a wolf which is supposed to represent Ellie.
Oh yeah.
But there's moths.
The one with it was with Joel, right?
Yeah. But there's moths. But there's moths around that too. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
Yeah. A- And then a lot of people were like, "Oh man, like that's." So there's definitely so like the moth thing is not new. Like I have
Oh,
heard that
yes, you
before.
were right. You were
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
sir.
But I guess I'll just end off with reading some quotes from Neil Druckmann, and then you can read
Rest. Yeah, totally.
all of the Sephiroth stuff. So Neil Druckmann says we have two timelines that we're playing with and kind of jumping back and forth, and that's something that is an intriguing way to tell a story. Least in this, then that is not phonetically correct, but okay, cool. We're just gonna read it, boys. Least in this, then we are seeing two times and where the story takes place, and maybe that expands further. So that's just
It'll definitely, because I'm looking at one of the posters, the contrast between this mystery woman with the hammer and the darker red theme, and then
right.
Ellie with a knife, moth, new beginning. So it's definitely, it's the contrast is so cool, and it's so evidently clear that this has to, in some shape or form, be related to Ellie.
I agree.
And
I agree.
I simply cannot wait. However, I will read the Seraphites part, which is to me very, very interesting.
Wait a minute.
So,
Am I?
pardon?
Oh my god. I just noticed something. Literally
You're not
entire
recording.
time. Huh? No. I am. Literally,
Oh.
literally the entire time I've read Seraphites, I've said Sephites as if it was SEPH instead of Seraphites.
SEPH.
I've literally been
Sephiroth.
wrong this entire. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
I didn't really.
No, I'm not even
notice
kidding,
that.
bro.
Wait, say it again,
Literally,
Sephirotes?
I have always called them the Sephites. Literally all the
No,
time.
that's fine. I like it when you say it like that, though. Better than
Wow.
Seraphites. I don't know.
Wow.
But anyway.
That's crazy. Yo.
Yeah.
I'm so blown away. Okay, go ahead. My bad.
So, who are the Seraphites? Why
are
are
you?
they here? What do they stand for? I believe this group has something, not I, but Ray. This is Ray's talking. I believe this group has something in relation to the cure and Ellie's condition. So there's a photo of an individual here, which gets so interesting. In the gameplay demo back in June 2018
What does that
for
say?
E3, it says "May she guide you," or right? Yeah, I think it says "guide you" or whatever.
Here,
And it's a photo of a woman, right,
let me bump
offering
the
something,
brightness.
hand sticking out. Look, it looks like one of those church ladies that say, "Hey, come in." You know what I mean? So, anyways,
Hey,
it
come
says
in.
sorry for the background noise, by the way, but she says first let me get this out of the way. The Seraphites have not been around this entire time. Something has brought this group back, as stated by Neil in an interview. uh, if my daughter theory holds any weight, I believe it's wind of Ellie's immunity and that brought this group back, and they're essentially after it. What they plan on doing with it, though I still do not know yet. According to my theory, since Ellie has the active fungus inside her system, I stated how she herself is contagious.
Yep.
If she indeed does infect Dina and turn her Ellie's condition could be figured out by others, and this is what brings the Seraphites back, since their cause has to do with a cure. Now you may be wondering, where the hell did I get this idea that the Seraphites cause has anything to do with Ellie's immunity or some kind of cure? To which she says, I will explain. First, I stated by asking myself, quote, what motive could be so powerful that could create an entire cult who seem to be worshiping something or are after something, end quote. I kept thinking it had to have something to do with the infected, as they have a religious name as well, quote unquote demons. This is what I believe I figured something out. This is when she believed she figured something out. So on the 5th page of this document, which we'll have it linked in the description, I imagine.
Well, I mean, before we move on, right?
Mhm.
I do want to ask you the question, because this notion of Ellie having the ability to pass on the infection, aka like her being contagious, right?
Right.
What do you think about that? Because the first time I read that whole notion was the daughter theory last week, and I never really take into account. But then, in that theory, I know that's a whole separate theory that we're talking about. But just to add weight to it, they were discussing how there were many instances in the game of Last of Us where, Ellie will, I think again try
share
to like
utensil with
no,
somebody.
not utensils, but like so one of them is of course in the Left Behind DLC where she kisses I forgot her name. Oh my god, my bad. But she kisses that girl that was her
Dina.
friend. It wasn't Dina.
Oh, Riley.
Riley, yeah. Riley, and then Riley ends up dying, but we don't get to see ever if like Ellie passing along fluids to people will infect them. You know what I'm saying?
The thing with that though was that didn't that happen before they got bit?
No, isn't it? Isn't it when they got bit? Because then that's why they kiss.
Do they actually kiss when they get bit? No, like do you mean the dancing on the cars part for Left Behind? Because in the dancing on the car where they playing when they are playing music, that clickers to them, and that's when they end up getting bit themselves. To which Ellie and her, Ellie stays alive, Riley does not.
Don't
but
they
I
like
don't
kiss
know
goodbye,
if they
or am
kiss.
I tripping? Don't they? I don't know, but
I forget.
I know
I've only played it twice.
I'm trying to remember, like, but the Dar 3 points out a bunch of different instances where like Naughty Dog kind of like cops out and doesn't give us that answer, like, oh, can Ellie pass on the fungus? And they like kind of keep that ambiguous, and people that like do get fluids or some sort of intimacy with Ellie in that way, they either die or get infected very quickly and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I'll ask you, like, do you think that they're gonna end up making Ellie contagious? Like,
that would be very interesting.
Right?
I don't know how necessarily all this science fiction works, but with an infection, I guess it really depends because I'm still convinced that Ellie is immune based off of the fact that the whole offspring thing where Ellie's mom might have. I thought Ellie was a test subject, to be honest with you. And if that is the case, then I think this immunity, while maybe Ellie herself is beginning to turn. I really don't know, because if we recall, at the first time we ever see The Last of Us, I think it was 2016 PSX. Ellie's in the in the video where she's singing "Oh Through the Valley," a good song, by the way. She's crying blood. So, and I know that doesn't, it could be anything really, it could be whatever, but maybe she's slowly turning into an infected clicker. I don't know, but it would be cool to see her becoming contagious. I don't know how they would manage to do that necessarily, because we see that in the E3 2018 demo that Dina drinks from the side. Dina drinks from Ellie's cup. So that would be cool. I don't know really, to be honest, but yeah, it would be cool to see.
Yeah, because we've always prophesized that, all right, like, do we think something is gonna happen to Dina that makes Ellie go on some sort of quest or some sort of objective, right? And like, damn, like maybe like Ellie infects her, like, because I mean, like, from what they've given us of Ellie's backstory, right? Likely, and I don't know how likely it is for her to not realize that she's contagious and her realize it when she's 19. That seems a bit outlandish, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
For like to go that long in your life and not realize that, holy shit, when I pass fluids to other people, granted, this is a whole different world. They do not live lives like we live right now in a more structured, unfazed, uncrazy pandemic type of deal, where they quite frankly probably don't have time to be making out or don't have time to be having sex, this and the third. You know what I'm saying? And of course, with Ellie's sexuality being in question as well, obviously, like, that could pose a big thing of like, all right, she probably doesn't even know that she could pass it, because she has been kind of non-sexual, I believe, until Dina. Of course, there was Riley, but that was just a kiss, and they were younger. But now Dina is really her first kind of fully romantic type deal. At least that's what we're led to believe. You know what I'm saying? So I guess maybe it's not that outlandish to Ellie not even know that she's contagious, but we'll see. I'm not really sure. But let's move on to your stuff. Do you want me to take it, or you can take it if you want? It's all good.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I guess yeah, you can if you
All
want.
right, deal. So
Switch
after
turns.
after doing research on the Sephirotes and what it could possibly mean, she started looking directly at the very name itself. I said Sephirite. God damn it.
It's fine, don't worry.
Seraphite on its that sounds so bad. Seraphite on its own doesn't mean anything, but I know the name needs to mean something because this is Naughty Dog. This is Naughty Dog. So this is when I started splitting the name up into different parts, maybe finding the meaning that way. I split the name Seraphite. Sera is plural for serum. Serum is blood serum of an animal used especially to provide immunity to a pathogen or toxin by inoculation. Oh my god, Jesus. Or toxin by inoculation or as a diagnostic agent. So far out of Seraphite, we have the word serum. See where this is going so far. And then the second half is what does fight mean? Fight, of course, being Phite, not Fight. Fight doesn't mean anything, so I begin to think, what if it's not fight?
Yeah.
I have looked on Naughty Dog's official website, their Twitter and their Instagram, and have not been able to find where themselves spelled Seraphite. But they have said in interviews, if I'm correct, we got Seraphite based on what we've heard and transcribed. After researching and twisting the word around, I eventually arrived at Seraphite with a Y. So just be clear, Sarah and then Phyte, which also has the same pronunciation. Now what does fight mean? Phyte. Fight is combining form denoting a plant or a plant-like organism.
Interesting.
So now we have a new section here called the Seraphites, of course, with a Y. So from here on out, unless I specify, or unless Starks specify.
You want to read the rest, or do you want to split it?
You can take this one. It's all good. So now we are moving into the transition of Seraphites with a Y. So essentially, they just broke down the word. Sera means a blood serum of an animal used especially to provide immunity to a pathogen or toxin by inoculation. I can't say that word. Or as a diagnostic agent. And then, of course, Phite is not a thing that they ever specified, really, but they have specified. Right. Well, I think what they meant to say here was that I guess they've never spelled out Seraphite. Huh. Quite interesting.
Yeah, that's what they mean. Yeah.
But
which
yes, and they didn't find anything with Phite, but with Phyte, it is a combining form denoting a plant or plant-like organism. So tell us more about Seraphites with a Y.
Essentially, very interesting, by the way. So I don't think it's Seraphite with a I. I think it's Seraphite with a Y. That rhymes a bit. Sera equals serum. Phyte equals denoting to plant-like organism. What are the infected in The Last of Us? They're not zombies. They're freaks of nature. They're a fungus organism. This is how I came to the conclusion that the Seraphite's motive has something to do with a serum/cure Ellie and the infected plant-like organism. You may now be thinking that this is the same thing that this Fireflies did, but I think the Seraphites will differ greatly from the Fireflies and their ultimate cause. The Seraphites obviously worship something, and I think it is the woman in the mural. My question is, who exactly does this woman represent? Could it be Ellie, which to me is the biggest mindfuck of them all, because I think that's an accurate depiction, honestly, and it kind of makes sense. People hear, back to the theory. People hear of this figure who is the answer to this plague and decided to worship them. They wouldn't exactly know what she looks like. It's a religious based on an ideology and rumors that that were heard. Neil mentioned that the Seraphites viewed Mystery Woman as less than human. Maybe they view her as less than human for not worshipping their figure. The nickname Wolf could also mean lone wolf, which is what I mentioned to you, Kevin, earlier in probably, I don't know, some of the episodes.
Indeed.
See how it ties in.
Yeah.
So this is why I found this theory kind of interesting as well, because I definitely think it means lone wolf. Or another nickname for somebody who chooses to go against their religion, which is another thing I said, as well as be alone rather than accepted. This would be a very, very different story than from the Fireflies. Now, Neil says something in an interview, and sorry if it's kind of, the text is kind of small, but that they would normally hate and see as less than human, which is Mystery Woman. Spoiler alert, but is a lot of people that see Joel as the villain or the hero. It's depending. Oh my god. It depends which side of it you're looking at, and that's kind of, pardon me, and that's kind you're looking at, and that's kind of, oh my god.
Yeah, look, okay. Before everyone bashes us in the comments, okay, the way the dialogue for Neil's quotes is written out crazy. Like, shout out to Rachel, but yo, that is not phonetically correct. It literally says verbatim, right? I swear to God, I swear on my life. It says it depending which side of it you're looking at, and that's kind. You're looking at, that's kind of what we're trying to hit with this game. Like, that's phonetically not correct.
Oh, you know what? Maybe this is screenshots from when she put the captions on. Because sometimes it's inaccurate. That's probably what it is. Probably.
It most definitely is. Like, honestly, it's probably not her fault. It's fine. It's all good. Shout out to Rachel.
We're not blaming you, Rachel, if you're watching this.
Rachel, you the shit.
Yeah. In other words, this cult would be sacrificing and murdering innocent people in Ellie's name. Could this be a good motive for Ellie wanting to kill every last one of them? Personally, myself, I don't think so. But she says, I can't be sure about that. But the main point to my Seraphite theory is that I think it may be Seraphite with a Y, which tells us more about them. That is it about the theory. It's not so in-depth as the last one. Essentially, she says, once again, Enduran survived Rachel, and that she wasn't able to touch up on Joel too much. But yeah, that's it. She says her well wishes and regards. And yeah, that's the theory, the Silk theory, which is just very, very interesting to say the least. And I think, like Kevin said, Rachel has done a great job kind of combining all of these different ideas and perspectives to these theories and it adds some weight. It really does. The one that I really like is the May She Guide You one. And the reason I like it is because I made a script back in 2018 in June, which I didn't upload on my own channel. But nonetheless, talking about the miscellanies in the Last of Us gameplay trailer, to which I mentioned May She Guide You. Mm-hmm. And I think I connected that statement with with the Fireflies a bit. And I don't think these are the Fireflies at all. I know in a previous episode or two, I mentioned how I think this could be an advanced Firefly group. It wouldn't be advanced because I think the Fireflies had guns, and these people seem to be more like I don't know, like fucking village people.
Yeah, and like I know that's something that we did discuss before, but I feel like also what could be a possibility. Not saying I necessarily believe this or I'm gonna stand by this, but I think it's likely that maybe the Sephiroths are like a branch that split off from the Fireflies. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe they had like a different thought on it, a different ideology on it. You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting, actually.
Yeah. So like I do like it. It wouldn't surprise me if it comes to light in Last of Us Part 2 that the Sephiroths were originally a part of the Fireflies and they just branched off. You know what I'm saying? Like I could definitely see that. Or again, the United States is a big fucking place. All right. So also wouldn't surprise me if like we started the game in Last of Us on the East Coast and like Boston area. And then we ended up in Nevada, I believe, or Nevada. So we went kind of like the northeast corner down to like the southwest region of the United States, but we never explored the northwest region of the U.S. So like up there by like Washington and kind of up there in Canada. You know what I'm saying? So perhaps like that's where the Sephiroths came from, and that could be plausible as well. Like maybe we just didn't hear of them because we weren't in the region that they mainly confided. You know what I'm saying? So,
right, which is why I also mentioned when Ellie beheads that guy, it sounded like he said this is sacrificed land. and suggesting that this is their land, or suggesting that this is the land in which is their territory, in which
Right.
they sacrifice other people,
Right.
for the sake of it.
Right.
To me, I think they kill these innocent people to offer this to the demons. I think that, to me, that makes a little sense. But the clickers and stuff, they're not zombies, so they don't really eat, right? I don't see them eating people. I just see them infecting them and then leaving, right? Like I don't, from what I recall, I don't think the clickers, the runners, the whatever bloaters, they don't eat a human, like unlike in The Walking Dead where the zombies need to survive off flesh. They want flesh. They're gonna bite you, suck your, eat your flesh and stuff. But the clickers don't seem to be doing that. They just seem to be, I guess, killing you and infecting you.
Wait a minute.
I don't know.
Wait. Whoa. That's a really good fucking point. Ain't that crazy how you just said that? Because, man, like, you could then break down that, an infected's only motive really is to technically it's to reproduce.
Yeah.
So damn, ain't that crazy how this theory is kind of pointing out that Ellie's kind of main reason and point for being alive, with when you combine the Dara theory, well, mainly the Dara theory, but this is well with the Silk theory, of course, with the Silk Moth's representation of them. Of course, as we said before at the beginning of the episode, the Silk Moth in North America, when they cocoon, they come out without a mouth. So really, their only objective and purpose in life is to reproduce in order to keep the species alive. Ain't that crazy how, like, this theory breaks down that Ellie is technically doing that. But so are the infected?
That would be interesting. Because I always saw it like almost like the Rippers, that these Rippers being this wild group in Days Gone, a game that I still have yet to finish. I don't think I'm gonna finish it, but
I'm gonna keep it honest. I kind of missed that game.
Yeah. No, so do I. Like, the gameplay was pretty good. I just needed to hammer it down and just play it. Right. But anyway, no, I definitely think, like, I always like these cult minded, these these ideology filled, crazy philosophy people in a post-apocalyptic world, because it adds to it. Like, I think a show that I used to watch was Z Nation, where they kind of wanted, I think there's this crazy religious group that just wanted to kill you and make you into the infected, because I really like the idea of I think it's, oh god, I should know because I'm a Catholic, but I think it's called Revelations, where God sent a bunch of different plagues and diseases to I guess shape the people below. And how this ties back to this is, I like the idea of God sending these clickers and stuff to wipe us out, so that, or not necessarily to wipe us out, but so that we as a race come together to fight off this, to come together to fight off this greater cause. I really like that line of that mindset of a higher force kind of forcing this on us. Like, The Walking Dead also mentioned it. I think Rick Grimes said it once, but my point is, like, it would be really cool that these individuals, these Seraphites, I guess, adopt these kind of views of, this is God's work, and this is the reality in which we as a human race must come together, and we need to worship these demons, because, or maybe not worship, maybe the opposite, maybe we need to get rid of them, maybe these, them cutting open these people scare them away. I don't really know, because, like, in my head it's like, well, why would they call them demons if they want to worship them? So I guess they're not necessarily, like, I guess it makes sense for them to be worshiping Ellie so that they get this cure, but I would like to see a cult or a group of people who worship these clickers. Right. But calling them demons wouldn't make any sense. If they call them angels, then my theory would be 100. I mean, everyone would be saying the same thing as me.
Right. Or yeah. I mean, or maybe like, yeah, I guess that's a good question. Like, why do they call them demons if they worship them? Yeah. Well, I mean, they could just be devil worshippers. Like, I mean, right?
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like,
now,
sorry.
Sorry.
Totally, like, just to, like, hit on your thing just real quick. Like, that's why I also like, hearing those these like offshoots of groups that have a completely different ideology. Because like, at least to me, right, with the Rippers and with groups like the Sephites in Last of Us Part 2, to me, when I hear their frame of reference and their line of thinking, to me, like, I can see how they would believe that or think that or act like that. You know what I'm saying? So like to me, like as long as the group is believable in the rules that they've set up for themselves and the overall kind of just outscope of what they believe, as long as it fits, I typically like those. I like hearing about that, and I like having that. If it's a group that like doesn't make sense, you know what I'm saying, then I don't really like it. But I like, yeah. I just like hearing different stuff. But go on from what you were saying, sir. My bad.
I was on a server, on a TLU server. That's all I'm gonna say for now. I was talking with a bunch of people. We were talking about the Seraphites, a lot about the religious, like real religion and how it compares to Seraphites and a religious cult.
Right.
And the name Jericho was mentioned. I'm sorry I don't have this saved. But nonetheless, there was, first off, Jericho from, I think, is mentioned in the song by Crooked Sadie, or what is it called? Crooked, hold on. Still, oh my god. My apologies, I didn't prepare for this this little detail, but Little Sadie by Crooked Still, which is the song. Went out one night to make a little round. I met Little Sadie and I shot her down. Went back home, jumped into bed. 44 minutes. Anyways, there's a part, if you read the lyrics, there's a part where she says in the song, I began to think of what a deed I'd done. I grabbed my hat and away I did run. Made a good run, just a little too slow. They overtook me in Jericho. Now, this was something, and I think I might have DM'd this to you. I'm not too sure. But Jericho, from the I guess, the religious stuff that we were talking about, is a place in which a group of people overtook the Israelites. So, hold on, let me read it here. So, a town in the West Bank near the end of the Dead Sea, 251, I guess, meters, 8,200 or 825 feet below sea level, on the site of an ancient city, the first place to be taken by the Israelites under Joshua after empowering the promised land in the 14th century BC. Where's the rest? Hold on, sorry. But essentially, there's a group, these, I guess, Israelites who overtook Jericho, I guess, this place of salvation, this place of I guess, just sane people. And I think this is what I believe, from my understanding, this is what I ended up discovering. And I don't know, to me it made me wonder. I wonder if this could be like the literal, like actually what happens in part 2, where Jericho is, I guess, you know, this place in which, you know, not Billstown, Tommy's dam or whatever is Jericho, and the Israelites are these individuals, these Seraphites, these religious minded people who overtake the place in search of a cure, in search of this higher power, this person who they want to be guided by. And so, yeah, I thought it was cool. I wanted to mention that because I'm sorry, it was kind of all over the place. I forgot to make sure I had written it down. But yeah, that was a little
quite interesting. I'd say this is heavy. This is heavy. I tell you,
it really is.
Is Ellie secretly just a moth? Like a literal just moth? Have we ever considered that?
Well,
you know?
Well, wait a second. Hold on a second.
I was totally joking about that.
No, I know.
I was like, wait.
I know.
I was like, please don't take me seriously. I was just joking.
So you know how in the theory it says the moths aren't born, I think I said distinctive, but I meant digestive tract. My apologies.
Yeah,
I messed that word up. So, but once they cocoon and then they emerge, silk moths have no digestive tract or mouth. Yeah. It is physically impossible for Seraphoria moths to eat. Because of this, they live a relatively short lifespan. The moths' only purpose: reproduce in order to keep their species. So this has to be some kind of symbolic and or literal form of Ellie, in
100%.
which
100%.
is immune to
Mhm.
the disease, and I suppose can reproduce other immune or children, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, I guess what it's been suggested, it's been, I guess, confirmed, I guess, established that Ellie isn't necessarily, um, well, how should I put this?
Heterosexual.
Straight.
Yeah, like
Yes,
straight
heterosexual.
heterosexual. Yeah,
To be respectful.
yeah.
So maybe maybe somebody rapes Ellie, right? Which would be because I think like this tone is revenge, so maybe Ellie is the actual person who's pregnant in the in the in the game, and it's not this mystery woman that we see. People keep saying, could they pointed to her stomach, she's dead? No, that's ridiculous. They pointed to the Emily, I think was the girl, she pointed to this mystery woman's stomach because she was gonna gut the shit out of her. It's not because she was pregnant. She
Oh,
could care
I mean,
less.
the reason why I thought she was pregnant is because didn't the woman say you're seated with sin?
Nested with sin. But the issue with that statement, Kevin, is another person in the June 2018 demo also said you are nested with sin before killing the guy. So it can't be because she's pregnant,
Oh, damn.
right? Unless
I
men can,
suppose.
unless it wasn't a guy. But
Or
no,
maybe,
if you go
well,
back to the
yeah.
June 2018, yeah,
You're
it
right,
said,
yeah. But then,
yeah,
again, totally understand what I'm thinking, but to play devil's advocate, right?
mm,
Maybe saying nested with sin is that you have committed a sin, right? Like maybe
yeah,
nested is looked at too, like literally, right? Like nested, of course, meaning that maybe like you're conceiving a child, but perhaps
right.
uh, maybe I don't know, like
You
maybe
committed. No. I see it both ways. You
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah,
committed
yeah.
a sin as a person who's grown up
And
as a
maybe
Catholic.
one of the
Yeah, I
sins
see. Yeah,
is like getting pregnant or something like that,
yeah. But it
but
would be interesting if they twisted it where it's a moment where Ellie, I know it sounds gruesome, but there was a moment in the first game where Ellie, I think, almost I don't understand what David was trying to do, but I think he was trying to rape her, right? So
yeah,
what if
so I
Ellie,
just played it, right? And so when I was growing up, I thought instinctively, oh, like he's trying to rape her. But in the
mm,
game, it's never really like he never really says that. Like he
yeah, like
in the
people said he
game,
was trying to rape her, but
yeah,
it
but
looked like he
like
was just trying to, I don't even know what the hell he was
uh,
trying to do. Choke
honestly,
her? So
no, like so
like
okay, yeah, look again, I'm not trying to like say homie was a good dude, he was an asshole number one, like of
no,
course
no,
not,
of course not.
right?
Yeah.
But when I when I played the game, I was thinking, oh shit, like here's like the rape part, but he really was just trying to just eat her, like he really was just a cannibal, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But
yeah, it didn't look like he was trying to rape her at all.
yeah,
Yeah.
but there were like elements of like suggesting that like he would do more to her before he ate her. You
Right,
know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yeah. Which ties into rape.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. True,
yeah,
true, true, true.
yeah, yeah.
So it would be cool because like if you look at it, it's like a vulnerable Ellie in the first game almost gets raped but is saved by a counterpart, a partner, that being of course Joel. Um and in the second game, Ellie, a very less vulnerable grown woman, beautiful, but might I add, woman, Ellie. Yes, I still have a mini crush, just a mini crush.
You
Anyways,
gotta love it. You gotta love it.
gets a moment where she's able to completely defend herself, but is unable to do so successfully because, maybe she needed a counterpart, and Joel wasn't there. To which she gets raped, and now she has a child, and maybe it's like the same thing all over again where like I don't like a part of me doesn't think that Ellie's mom fell in love with a man and decided to have a kid. I think Ellie's mom has either been raped or Ellie is a test subject baby where they used a man's to make sure to, I don't know, put a cure in it or whatever. One of the two. I don't think Ellie's mom actually fell in love with a man and boom, here, let's have a kid, because she didn't like kids. So why would she all of a sudden have sex and have a kid? You know what I mean? To me, that makes no sense.
That was covered in the Dara theory, where like she didn't like his, or but like that was the main point of the whole theory about Ellie solely being a vessel for the cure.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And not
Okay,
necessarily for
yeah.
Anna's enjoyment of having a kid, because obviously she didn't want kids. You know what I'm saying? But
Right, yeah. So I look at it as either that way or her mom was raped. So it would be cool. Oh, I can't wait for part 2.
This is what it is, man. This is what it is, dog.
Very good. I really
20th.
dig this theory. I'm gonna print both of these out and have it in like a little booklet so I can just read
Hell
back
yeah.
and just enjoy the lore.
Let's do it. But
Uh,
let us know what you think about the Silk theory down below. What are your thoughts? Do you think Ellie's a literal moth? Do you think she shapeshifts into a dead-ass moth? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But
Imagine.
Starks, where can the people find you? My
Well,
man.
you can find me at hold on, 782 Avenue Street.
Oh, wait, whoa. Is that
I'm
your
joking.
dead-ass address?
No, it's not.
I was gonna say, I'm like, bro, like you can't be what the
No way would
I
I
was
do
like,
that.
yo, wait a minute.
Yeah. No, you can find me on YouTube at the Starks. I made a recent video about The Last of Us being open world. Uh, I wouldn't say people really enjoyed what I say about that, obviously, because people think that open world. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna cover that one day, right, Kev?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm down to really because I have some pretty interesting thoughts. But yeah, YouTube is where you can find me, and or Twitter. Yeah. Thank you for
Absolutely.
watching, by the way. If you're still watching up to this point, you don't have to lie in the comment section below. If you skip, that's cool. But if you watch from beginning to this part, I appreciate the view.
Let's give them a word to say. How about this?
Yeah,
Say,
Chocolate cake.
say chocolate cake in the comments if you watch this far. Chocolate cake. But also, while you are writing chocolate cake down in the description, you should also go down there.
Comments, not description.
Comment section. But you should go to the description and follow our Twitter, our Discord as well. We be popping off there, talking, chilling, hanging out. I debut the thumbnails of videos before they go live there. We be hanging out. You know what I'm saying? Definitely check out those. We will a bunch of different chats and channels, stuff like that for you to indulge in and take your PSS experience to Discord. And make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, as well as stay subscribed to PlayStation Source to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. And before I forget to mention it, also down below is our Anchor link where you can find our links to our various podcast services that we are on. So it will take you to the PlayStation Source podcast feed where you can hear all of our long form content on the channel, that including Cross Circle Podcast, and of course this podcast Road to Part 2 that goes live every Wednesday. So you can do that if you would rather listen to us in a more audio format. And thank you for watching, and as always,
Greatness awaits.
you gotta love it.